I think when the money comes in and the grants and all that good stuff comes in, bad stuff comes in, you have to figure out something to do during your idle time or you won't survive as a black young man. I'm like,
hopefully we get back to that, maybe have like some big brother programs.
What they're battling and what they're introduced to away from you is far greater than, as far as the pull to what you're doing, and that'll burn you out. So I don't know if you know Brandon Williams, but Brandon played ball at Union. He has that assistant school, license, yes, has at the Pearl Company. He was finding ways in school, during school hours to cut. Like seriously, had a box on him. They called me, this box going off, you out of location. Like, yeah, it's cool. So the coach like, nah, y'all keep playing, They play one more game, Kiyon Boyd and me in Miami. I'm like, like, they're like, Kiyon ain't coming back. I said, what you mean? They're like, we did a room check, he not in his room. And like, we banged in his room this morning, and he not in his room.
What do you think about the transfer portal and NIL? Like, what are your thoughts on that if you was navigating the kid through that?
So you think like somebody had this in order from the beginning?
Make the style go a certain way within how I just, at the end of the day, people still got their own coaching styles, right?
Welcome to Game Related, where we highlight opportunities and obstacles from former athletes with the thought process of giving future generations a better understanding about the game. These conversations are meant to bring awareness to the opportunities and hardships that come with the game. Let's get game related. All right, y'all, we back with another episode, man. I feel like the next guest that we have is I call him the underground king. We got Mo Skillz, Curtis Yarborough in the building. Man, we're gonna talk about a lot of things in regards to training, update on Kiyon Boyd. We're gonna talk about just, I think, the longevity of Yarbrough and what he has been doing in the cities. And also, talk about his playing days a little bit, man. So, man, welcome to the show.
Sure.
Yes, sir. Nah, man. So, one of the things that you've been training for, I would say almost like 2 decades, right?
Yeah, 19 years.
Talk about what has changed over the last 20 years from on a training perspective.
More trainers, for sure. But I've seen kids and parents and, the wave of, I don't know, I think the kids are less disciplined these days. Yeah, back in the day, I think our parents were a little tougher on us. So, that kind of extended into whatever adult we were around, teacher or coach. But I see a less disciplined child and like almost a less disciplined parent at times too, as far as like, what did you say he did? Like you were sitting in the gym watching, you know what I mean? So I remember my father was on me, in regards to like, this is how you coach. I mean, this is how you act when you're coach. Gotta be coachable and things like that. You don't hear that anymore,
Let me ask you something, because I got 2 little ones, right? And I'm just sitting here thinking, our generation didn't really have a voice, coming up in the house. It was like, you just do as I was told, right? And I feel like now that we are adults, sometimes we get into the point of being like, well, I want them to listen. I want to hear what they have to say. And that kind of goes into that discipline piece,
Yeah, and that's big time, kids not getting whooped anymore, saying things of that nature. So discipline-wise, I think it's tougher sometimes for the coach because we're not an extension of the parent anymore because our style is so much different, because we gotta be on it. We gotta make sure we discipline. And at home, they just, doing what they want. So, I mean, I know my daughter would laugh because she's probably like, not in my house, because that's how I parent like my father parented, like my mom parented. So, but my daughter's very coachable.
Yeah.
There's not one coach that'll say she doesn't make eye contact or, you know what I mean? It's just the simple things. And I think I like the old school. Like I like, how things were, because I believe like, it produces a more in tune child. You know what I mean? YouTube is raising a lot of our kids, and it's crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna say we was raised outside, not on YouTube.
Yeah, man.
And another thing that I was thinking about is we spent more time on the character than just skill of a kid.
For sure. And that's big for me. So when I get a kid, I try to make it like a family thing, like you're Mo Skillz family. So if you get in trouble at school, your mom's gonna call me, and I'm gonna talk to you about that aspect. If you do something in the streets, I'm gonna figure it out and find out. Because when I first started, I had a couple clients, but like the majority of my kids were just kids I just trained from the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? So it was like I had to be an extension of the parent because I was in South. I'm still over there, but I'm in Southeast. So it's like it's a lot going on that the parents are not able to see. But since I was teaching in the school, and then I was at the school after school, so I was seeing everything. So that's how I got I think that's how I got a good grasp of what's going on as far as the parents and the lack of parents. And it's crazy out there. And it's not just Southeast, it's in the suburbs too, man. But like it was heavy over there. So, I kind of took it to heart. I've been over there I've been over there teaching 10 years, but probably training or helping the kids and mentoring probably about 25 years because I did that I was a rep before I was teaching. So I was over on PR Harris over in Southeast.
Okay.
When it was friendship, when it was crazy. So Third World, 6th Street, 4th Street, all them boys are my youngsters. They're grown men now, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I really started off.
Wow. So man, obviously you did a lot of time in the inner city. What resources do you feel like the inner city kids need a little bit more of that they're lacking?
Us. Now, when I say us, I'm not referring to like anybody getting paid or, like to train or paid or this or paid. I think when the money comes in and the grants and all that good stuff comes in, the bad stuff comes in. So if you and I, somewhat successful guys, we come in and say, I'm just gonna give one kid, and it's one school, I'm gonna give him my time, just my time. I'm not gonna like preach to him, but I'm just gonna come around. If he's in class, he looks at the door, he sees me. Then after class, he sees me speak to his teacher. After school, I scoop him up. We go get a bite to eat. You know what you say you've done. We go get a bite to eat. We talk it up. Even if he doesn't want to play sports, we try to figure out something that he wants to do or she wants to do, and we do it just giving our time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all it is. It's really just about time because these kids have these short little, like you said, these short little windows of somebody needs to like influence them right there so they can say, all right, this is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do instead. I'm not gonna do that. If it doesn't happen in that small window, it's almost impossible to change those young people once they get that ball rolling in that wrong direction.
That's a fact, man. I had a mentor when I was a little youngin', man, and he used to tell me, he was like, bro, every time you get bored, your ass get in trouble.
Yes. Yes, my father told me the same thing. He said, as a youngster, he grew up in Cleveland, bad neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like his aunt gave him a pistol, 2-shot, like take this with you to school type of neighborhood, right? To protect himself. Went to school with like Don King's sons, like gangster, right? So he would tell me, he said him and his brother, they survived their idle time. And I said, what you mean by that? He's like, you have to figure out something to do during your idle time or you won't survive as a black young man. I'm like, and that's what I did. I never and then we moved from the city to Maryland. It was a lot of idle time. And I saw what the other suburban kids were doing with the idle time, and it wasn't so suburban.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I figured like, man, these are city kids that moved out to Maryland just like me. So they know some things. Yeah, so I decided I'm not gonna hang with the kids that went to school with me. I'm gonna find some new friends, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I end up like just being outside, you know what I mean? But when I was outside, we were doing something like baseball, soccer. We played everything, you know what I mean? And that's not happening anymore.
Yeah.
I give a kid a bat, they have no idea what to do with it.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
It's different.
Yeah. Hopefully we get back to that, maybe have like some big brother programs or just something like that.
It's just so tough because it always goes through the government or through a grant or through a system. I've been mentoring kids. My father mentored kids. Never a grant, never nothing, never asked for anything. You know what I mean? We just do it. And it's like, it can be done because it's mostly time. It's not really money, it's mostly time. You shouldn't have to be paid for your time when it comes to 20 minutes, 30 minutes of talking to a kid a day, or just being there when they call or text or whatever. It's just when we start putting the money on it, it starts getting funny every time. And there's some people that are doing it and getting grants that are doing it well. I'm not saying it can't happen, but it would be more. Just think of every black man in Prince George's County who graduated college and now has a regular job, just 9 to 5. Say I'm gonna get one kid from Southeast just to mentor. It'll change the culture tomorrow. I'm talking about overnight. Overnight, it'd just be totally different. But we're so caught up in I'm chasing the girl or chasing the bag or I need this car and all this stuff. And that takes time, you know what I mean? So it's like we never think about the picture outside of our front door. And that's what's crazy until it comes to your front door at the gas station, they try and get you for your car or something. And then you're like, oh, these youngsters crazy, these YNs and all. And I'm like king of the YNs. They love me. Why? Because they always knew they can come to that gym, knock on the window, I'm letting them in.
Yeah.
I done
believe.
I done let them in, not knowing I was letting them in after doing something. I done let them in on a Sunday where they just, were bored. But it's like, they always know, they see that truck, they like, do. And I'm coming to the door, you know what I mean?
I got a lot of funny stories about that. I'm gonna just share one. It was a time before I moved out to VA, I was in Langley Park. And I was with a lot of the Spanish community. And they get into it early, they're very active. And same thing, I remember letting the youngin in, he had just got initiated, and so he was black-eyed, bloody, you know what I mean? And, but he still felt comfort coming in, and I was just like, what did you get yourself into? So I feel that, man.
I've had some times on that side where I've assisted people in like running from the police and not even know it. You know what I mean? Then when I figure it out, I'm still with it. Like, all right, we gotta make sure you straight. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, you know what I mean? But it's like, once you get wrapped up into these youngsters, man, it's like, they family. Like I have so many kids that I consider like my family from just mentoring them, not the basketball aspect, just the mentoring part where they got the code to my house. They can come in, if I can't get to a package, I say, so-and-so, come grab the package off my porch, put it in the house, and I can trust them to put that package in, not do nothing crazy, you know what I mean? So I consider them like my sons. They call me Pops. And they out there, some of them are, doing what they do, but it's like, I can't cut you off when you do, these things, because I'm like, that's what they're used to.
Right.
Family cut them off, moms, pops, grandpa, everybody cut them off. So, even if they have to do time, they feel like they're doing that time again by themselves. And then what are they gonna do when they come home? You know what I'm saying? You gotta still give them that positive light, all the time, or is this gonna be, that cycle of go in, go out, get shot, come, you know what I mean? It's crazy, it's crazy.
So man, they always say, man, no good deed go unpunished, right? And so I think it was last year or something last year where I felt like they were trying to sabotage your name in the paper or something like that. Man,
news and all that, it was crazy.
Speak on that.
That was a situation where it's funny because I've been doing under the radar, doing my thing, like using several gyms, bouncing around, whatever the case may be. But my hub was my school where I worked, because that's where I got all the kids that I trained as far as mentor, like training like so many kids. And I had a team called the DC Owls. The DC Owls was a team that we put together with a couple of guys from uptown that it was just about getting the kids in the gym off the streets. Right? So it looked like I was thumping. It looked like I had 15 clients a night. But in reality, 12 of those kids were kids from that program. And that's where the James Hampton, the Kiyon Boyds, you know what I'm saying? Devontae Gordon, he's about to get drafted football in a couple of days. We had those kids in the gym, and those kids, some of them come from single parent no parent, and we mixed them in with a couple of kids who had both parents, and it was a crazy mesh.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. So it looked like I was in the gym every night, and it looked like I was, so I believe something internally that had nothing to do with me happened between like admin or something. I don't even want to say too much, but it's like somebody was disgruntled and it had nothing to do with me. But they figured that if they sabotaged my situation, somebody else was going to get in trouble, not me. So the long story short of it, I was cleared. It was found that there was no wrongdoing, but it looked bad.
Yeah.
It was on the news after the Monday Night Football or something, and then, that reporter was one of those gotcha investigator. Yeah. So I could have said it. I could have spoke on my situation and like I'm doing with you, but I didn't like that audience. I didn't like how he was coming at me. I told him on the phone, I said, you're being very disrespectful in regards to what I've done over here that you can't see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I knew because of what I do, I would be fine. You know what I mean? I knew I would be fine because I'm not over there driving no Maserati, like they had like I had a whole thing going, but it's like they don't understand. I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul, just like everybody's doing. You know what I mean? I'm not like killing it or nothing like that. I have a lot of kids that I've trained. From the Aaliyah Matharu, never paid me a dime. Aaliyah, playing ball. She just graduated. She's leaving Baylor now. Leah too, who just got drafted the other day. Yeah. All those kids, they can say. They'll come in and say, I've never asked them for anything. But they live across the street from the school. Aaliyah lived down the street from the school. So the proximity of it was like, boom, you can get to the gym in 2 minutes. Yeah, I'm gonna come to the gym. Right. That's what it was about. It was about, getting those kids in the gym and like trying to establish relationships where Aaliyah to this day can text me and say, this is what's happening with this agent or this situation. What should I do? Help me, blah, blah, blah. And she knows that, if I'm not in the gym, I'm gonna answer her or I'm gonna try to get back to her as soon as possible. And that's a kid from that situation, who's gonna go on and probably play professional, not probably, she is gonna play professional, basketball. Leah too is playing. Like I said, Devontae is about to get drafted. I got kids all those DCIL kids that stuck to it and really stayed with us, graduated from college. That's a win. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's a win. But all black kids, black boys, and what they're gonna do to give back to the city is gonna be far greater than whatever money I could have got from them, but I didn't get any money. We were just really training those kids every day. And the thing is, what people don't realize about the DCIs, because it's just like me, we kind of stayed low key. We won almost every game in that 3-4 years spent, every game. Wow. If you go to YouTube and look at the DCIs, like highlights, we're running sets for these kids. They're getting backdoors for dunks. Daniel Oladapo, he's playing overseas right now. Daniel. Yeah, Daniel. He was one of our kids, and that's where Daniel kind of learned basketball. He could hoop, but he learned basketball and being patient, what I'm saying, being coachable, all those things. And Daniel ain't paid me a dime. Daniel still trains. You know what I mean? But it's like certain entities that we deal with as black men always try to do that to us. You know what I mean? And they do it proudly too. But they have, right in their face. But they have no idea. Like, my community came after him. They were on his hind parts. It was crazy. And I said nothing. They were on Twitter going at. I didn't tell anybody to do anything. I didn't threaten them. I didn't do nothing. I just sat back because I knew for everything that I've done that the community was going to look out.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I say you people's champ, man. Yeah. Let me ask you this: do you ever feel burnt out from you do a lot? You extend yourself to everybody. You know what I mean? Do you ever get burnt out?
Yeah, for sure.
How do you deal with that?
It's been maybe about the last 5 years I've dealt with some of my youngsters, and the level of the stuff that they get into has become almost overwhelming. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that kid was with me every day, and they doing that. So when you see it like that, you sometimes feel like what you're doing isn't helping. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's when it gets kind of crazy and you kind of feel burnt out. Because I mean, some of these kids, what they're battling and what they're introduced to away from you is far greater than, you know, as far as the pull to what you're doing, and that'll burn you out. So I promise you, this is probably the first year or in a while, and I said, man, I think I gave Southeast everything I got, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? But I still do it.
Yeah.
And the next day I'm like, damn, I think I gave Southeast everything I got. You know what I mean? It's like, it's, you see it, man, and it's like, when it comes full circle, so like I worked at C.W. Harris as a PE teacher, right? That's in far Southeast, they call it, right? Almost on, you know, the Maryland border.
Yeah.
But, you know, that was 15 years ago, maybe 13 years ago, I think. I'm working over there. I worked there a couple of years. You know, I do the same thing, getting the community real good. And when the whole situation happened, I had to change gyms. So I go over and I pay for Woody Ward.
Okay.
Permit, you know, I get permits now just to make sure nobody try to, you know, sabotage my situation. But I'm over there and I've never kicked the community out. I got the whole gym, but I never kicked the community out. That's my thing. If y'all down here, you know, doing your thing, I'm not gonna say get off the court. I gotta train down here. I try to make my training fit a half court if it's people in there. And then I tell them, you know, at 7, I need the whole thing. And, you know, some of them bark, but nothing crazy. So I noticed that this one kid, he's in there all the time with a group, and they yes sir, no sir to me. I'm like,
what's this?
What's going on? Like, well, it's kind of weird. But Woody Ward is close to C.W. Harris, right? I'm still not putting 2 and 2 together. One time the ball rolls down there to me, I get it, and I throw it back to him. Dude say, thanks, Coach Y. I'm like, Coach Y, how you know who I am? So I go down there and say, how you know my name? And he turned around. It's one of them kids from C.W. Harris, who I used to mentor. He didn't say a word. It's been like 2-3 months.
Yeah.
And he's just coming in and watching me train, seeing me train, and he's like, not saying nothing, like being shot. And I figured out why. Because who he is now is not who I wanted him to be. When I saw him later, smoking weed, you know, with the YNs and ski mask and all that good stuff, he know I would have went crazy on him, right? So when I go down to him, I realize I know all of them. But that's why I was protected on that side for the months, and they never, because you can go on a wreck and it can get crazy. Yeah. But I was protected because I had done, you know, I had put enough work in with them as youngsters that they were respecting me on the back end without even saying it, you know, saying anything to me. Right. So like now over there, it's just like family now. So, you know what I'm saying? They come, what's up, man? What's up, coach? You need some help with your bag? I'm like, you know what I mean? But it's like, I get to see like that side of, even if you just spend a little bit of time, something positive could come from it, you know what I'm saying, on the back end. And they're not doing too well on that side, but they alive. Right. You know what I'm saying? They're not locked up. So it's like, it's like that. Sad to say that's a win at 21, 22.
It is a win though. It is a win. It is a win considering circumstances. Yeah. So man, let's get into Kiyon Boyd, man. You know, talk about really just from start to finish, man. Like, how did you run across him? Obviously, you build him up into a monster. You know what I mean? And then just dealing with, I don't even know what I want to call it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just, you know, just what's going on with him.
So with Kiyon, he was basically like introduced to football and basketball by T and his father. Okay. You know, so T and his father had the Beacon House thing, and they were doing it over, you know, on the Northeast side. I had a bunch of kids, and it's funny because I got 2 white dudes, man, from uptown, and they had I don't know if you know Brandon Woolen, but Brandon played ball at Union. He has an assistant school, light skin, yes, has at a apparel company. So me and B, we hooped together. We played in Canada with each other and or against each other. So, you know, when we got home, we always played in the same leagues. Yeah. So he said, man, I got this white dude, man, he wants, you know, he needs some players. So I said, cool, I go hoop. We go hoop uptown. The dude, Casey, man, we become close, you know, as friends or whatever, and I'm playing wherever KC play. So then, long story short, I don't know if you know Larry from Madness. Larry from Madness, he, you know, OG.
Yeah,
He
sure.
with my father. He knew my father real well. He says, you know, I got some kids. I want y'all, you know, to start joining y'all, you know, the DC Isles crew, because we were training the kids. We really didn't have a team. They were playing at Jelliff.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So, you know, that's a basically white neighborhood or whatever you want to call it. And Casey said, you know, I got a friend that he's playing at Jelliff. He's coaching. His son team needs some help. I sent a couple of my youngest from this side up there, Ayende Hakeem, one of my guys, Darius Slade, that plays for Maris. I sent them up there. So,
Point guard.
Point guard.
Yeah. Uh-huh. I know you're talking about.
So I sent them up there, and, you know, they killing now up at Jelliff.
Yeah.
Dogging. So then Larry said, you know, let me add some more kids to it. So he sent me Kiyon. He sent me that whole crew basically.
Right.
So he was getting the platform. The base was from T and his father, as far as being, you know, the coaching and the discipline and this, that, and third. But then I was able, cause I trained T too.
Yeah.
I was able to put everybody in the gym.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I was on the northeast side, and I put everybody in the gym, and I just started looking at this kid like, it's a big joker. Like he might be able to do something, because he was willing to come in the gym. He was coachable. He was a good kid. I was like, man, he couldn't play yet though.
Right.
He couldn't play.
His footwork was off.
Yeah,
I remember.
Yeah, I was like, because he played football. You know what I'm saying? He just didn't like it. But I started seeing that, you know, if I put a little bit more time into this kid, he might be I was thinking collegiate athlete. I wasn't thinking a pro or none of that. I'm just thinking he might be able to go to school for free.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at his situation, and I'm just like, yeah, he needs to go to school. You know what I mean? So, boy was just with me every day. So he's one of those kids. And I think, I know, like the rapper Sam Payne, he was another kid. Sam was with me every day. Sam and James, they came with Kiyo. But Sam and James were clowns. And I couldn't have them in my gym I couldn't have all of them in my gym. I had to separate them. Then I had to break them down, and then I was able to get them in together. But man, first time I met Sam and James, they was playing with me, man. They were throwing a football like over my head on purpose, and I'm letting them do it. And then one time it kind of like whizzed by my head. I'm like, Slim,
you got one more
I gotta get these kids out the gym. But Sam ended up being the kid who was with me. Sam was with me every day, drove him home every day, right to Edgewood every day. But that's where Kiyo was hanging too.
Yeah.
So like, it was easy to just drop everybody off. And then just one day, Kiyo's situation at home, because he was staying with his great grandma. His situation at home, it got kind of crazy with his mother, and they were fighting, and it got physical sometimes. And I was coming back to get him anyway.
Yeah.
So I asked his grandmother, I was just like, his great grandmother, I'm like, let me just have the kid live with me. I got an extra room, and then he could just train, go to school. And she was resistant at first, you know, very into the church, you know what I'm saying? She was like, you know, very big on family. So she didn't want to let him go at first, but I talked to her, had Larry talk to her, like, you know, this would be in the kid's best interest if he just, you know, focused. And then the kid he came and lived with me. He had been in some trouble. So the court kind of ordered him to have to be with me too. Yeah. As far as wherever I go, he got to go type situation. I'm in the gym.
Y'all was right on rice, dog.
Yeah. I'm in the gym every day. So it's like, now you got to train every day.
Right.
And he was like, well, that's what I do anyway. So it just turned into like, we working out in the morning, working out in the evening, and I'm just watching this kid get better. And I'm like, oh, shit, he's a pro. I said, this kid is a pro, because he's one of those kids, anything you want to do, he can do it. I'm trying to tell people, this kid was phenomenal in the workouts. He could be working out with a 6-year-old, him and a 6-year-old, he's still going hard. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's just one of those guys, man, that it doesn't matter who's in the gym, it doesn't matter what we're doing, I'm just going to try to do it, because Coach Curtis said do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to try to do it as well as possible. And I just watched him grow, man, but it's just like, what I wasn't seeing was, and it's crazy, it was happening in school. What I wasn't seeing was in school, who he was hanging with. And I don't even want to name this kid's name for sure, but one of these kids that he was hanging with was one of them kids. I'm like, Kiyo, that kid's gonna get you in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, nah, that's my man, da da da. But I can see that kid was sponging off of Kiyon's superstar rise on the basketball court, trying to not sabotage it, but say, man, I'm doing this over here with the rap and the cars and the guns and all that stuff. Come do this. And it was like, Kiyon was like, oh yeah, I like that too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I can't even blame him or fault him for that, because before I got to him, before T got to him, before anybody got to him, that was already in that kid's head.
Mm-hmm.
His influences, you know what I'm saying, in the neighborhood was already in his head when it comes to, oh, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not anybody telling him to do it, but just, I like that. I like that gangster stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? And with that being said, Kiyon was two different people.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't realize. What they also don't realize is I didn't make choices for Kiyon. Kiyon was a grown man as far as his choices and how he moved. When I met him at like 12, 13 years old, he was doing what he wanted to do. Came and go when he wanted it. And nobody, you know, it was no discipline in that regard. So like people say, man, can Kiyon, like asking me, I'm like, you better ask Kiyon.
Right.
Do you want him to play your AAU team? Pitch it to him. Because I don't care about AAU, so I'm gonna tell him to play with whoever he wanna play for. And it became a battle where people started, in the city started seeing and started thinking that I was like, what do they call him? Like a handler.
Right.
I'm like, I gotta meet this kid. He's handling his own business. And like, as much as I tried to influence him, I really couldn't like steer him all the way in certain places. So we went to HD, put him with Trey Mines, who was coaching him, and that was a great move. Trey had all the connections when it came to the college coaches, because for one, Antoine Walker was playing really well. I trained Antoine too, but then he was affiliated with Team Loaded.
Right.
Team Loaded out of Richmond, they got it going. Ben had it going.
Mm-hmm.
So Kiyon got his first offers without ever playing.
Right.
That's what people don't know. AAU, no high school. He played maybe 3-4 games with Dunbar at the end because he was ineligible because of grades.
Mm-hmm.
But his sophomore year, he transfers to HD and he's just hooping against Antoine. They coming to see Antoine and they like, who's that kid?
Right.
So Trey started calling my phone like, dog, like they on Kiyon, like heavy. Next week he get offers.
Yeah.
Never hooped.
Right.
He's getting offers, but it's because who he's doing that work against. He going against Antoine. They going at it, right? So I started seeing like AAU started like pulling and all that stuff. And you know, like I said, I'm over here. I have no affiliation with no AAU, none of that. So I have no idea like who's gonna do right by the kid.
Mm-hmm.
I know these people from hooping, but I don't know their character off the court. So I'm just like, I don't know what to do. But what I did know is that this kid got in trouble every weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Every weekend, free time, idle time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'm only training till a certain time on Sunday. He got all this idle time. What can I do? So I said, you know what? Loaded is taking them from Friday to Sunday night down to Richmond. That's what I got to do. So, and that worked out. He was going with Loaded. He was, you know, training with them or practicing with them for the weekend. And then the AAU season started. He just became very busy. So for that time frame, he didn't get in any trouble. As soon as that finished, you know what I'm saying, he caught with a gun in the car with the same person who I told him not to be around, not be in the car with. And that's when it started going like, kind of like, not downhill, but that's when I realized that I was fighting a bigger monster than I thought in regards to like his choices, because he comes off as, he a Gemini, man. He come off one day, he like, yes, I'm Kiyon Boyd, and da-da-da. Next day, they telling me I loaded. He talking to the kids about guns and butter, like drugs and water. I'm like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? So it was like two different kids, you know what I'm saying? And it was like, I didn't realize that till the back end that I was fighting. Like, I thought it was like 80-20. It was 50-50 whether this kid was gonna make it or not.
My little homie is Gemini too.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's like my daughter loves Kiyon, right? She was a baby when, you know, he was around, and that's big brother, you know what I'm saying? And and then out there, he's a different person. So it's like, I'm fighting, and I'm like, I don't know if I can win this battle
Yeah.
because he's getting into this situation where everything that he's doing off the court is starting to, like people talking about it, everybody. So college coaches are starting to back off. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, damn. And he's still killing on the court because he's still in the gym every day. But then, you know, the gym ends at a certain time. And it was just like, damn. He's in my house. He had to be with me. It was cool. So it was curbing it a little bit, but he's like, he was finding ways in school, during school hours to cut. Like seriously, had a box on him. They called me, this box going off, you out of location. I'm like, he at school. He across the street at the ice cream, but it's like, they don't want him over there, they want you here. So he rebelled against the system a lot. You know, one time the judge and the judges, they were hard on him.
Yeah.
And I appreciated it because that's what he needed. They like, if you miss one class, you're going in juvie 30 days. If you late, if you blah, blah, blah. And he was like, you know, I guess he ain't believe him. Banged him. He go to the court, I'm sitting there. They're like, the lady said, hold up, you missed this class, missed it? 30 days. She didn't even do nothing, like didn't do no. She didn't want to hear what his lawyer said, nothing. 30 days and put him in YC. But you know, YC is like a camp. It's like overnight camp to them, you know what I'm saying? They get 3 square meals, they get ice cream after dinner and everything, PlayStation, it's everything.
A little
you know
sweet.
Yeah, so I don't think that did too much. He didn't like being combined, but he got straight A's. Like he got all his grades, smart kid. He ended up getting straight A's in there, like you know what I mean? But what happened, the biggest thing that happened was when he got home, and we started seeing that HD wasn't a good fit as far as, you know, the influences that were there. We say, all right, you gotta clean up his act. Most times when kids like that have to clean up their act, we think military school or, you know, Hargrave or Massanutten. So we chose Massanutten because the Massanutten coach, he was following Kiyon as far as AAU, and he called me every day, 2-3 times a day. Came up to Kiyon's grandmama house, sat on the couch and gave him the whole spiel, like, you know what I'm saying? And like, did his whole, how they do, right? I love this kid, and this kid's gonna be like family, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm soaking it up a little bit, like, okay, this is a good move for the kid. It's not too far away, you know, it's out there in Virginia, but it's not too far away. We can get out there to the game. I'm like, all right, this might be a good move. Man, that boy went down there, and I'm getting reports that, you know, the military part of it is not, it's like a couple weeks in. He's not really getting it yet. Then next week, I talked to him, he's starting to get it. I'm like, just look at the big picture. It's a year, figure it out, you know what I'm saying? So he starts picking it up. So now the coach called me, oh, he's doing well. You know, we made him team captain, blah, blah, blah. So one day as team captain, they had been playing, and they've been playing for a long time. And Kiyon started seeing the runs go down. You know how the runs get stupid after a while, right? So Kiyon tell the coach, we shouldn't play like coach, you know what I'm saying? Everybody bullshit, I don't want to play no more, right? So the coach like, nah, y'all gonna keep playing, y'all gonna keep playing. They play one more game, Kiyon blows his knee out completely. Like when I say completely, tore everything up. So the white dude just told me that we should keep playing. I hurt myself, blow my whole knee out because I kept playing. I'm done. It right then and there, it was over. I didn't realize this. I'm like, oh shit, he hurt. Blah, blah, blah. He went to surgery, rehab, he'd be fine. That's what we thinking, because as athletes, that's all it is. It's a speed bump, right? But Kiyon was a wall. And I didn't realize this till years later when we had a talk. Me and Kiyon done fought and everything, like real scrap. But we never argued over like basketball or his future or none of that. It was like, I told you to clean this up, blah, blah, blah. You say something spicy. He's same size as me almost, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, it got to that a couple of times, but we never, it's always love. We hug it out, you know what I'm saying? We talk it out. And, but with this situation, he didn't argue. He didn't say nothing to me. He just, when he came home, he went and stayed with his grandmother, great grandmother, because I didn't have a bathroom on my first floor with a tub, and he had, you know, knee blown out. Couldn't get up and down the stairs. And then I'm reaching out, he not hit me back. Like, that's strange. And then what happened was his mom went down there. This is it right here. His mom went down there to say, to see about his stuff and to talk to the coach about him. I told him to go down there and speak about him because he had surgery. It went well. Same doctor did Kobe and he did his at the University of Virginia. Doctor called me and said, man, he's gonna be fine. He's gonna have a bionic leg. He's gonna be da-da-da-da. This is the best surgery I've done and this, that, and the third. So I'm excited. His mom goes down there and I told him what to talk about. I was like, talk about him doing the rehab there, staying in school, staying there, them accommodating him so they can, take a shower on the first floor. But he got to stay up there. He can't come home. She's like, I got you. She go up there, man, and the first thing she said, so where's my son's stuff? They had put this boy's stuff in like a mop bucket closet in a dorm hallway type shit. All his stuff thrown on the floor in that situation. She calls me, she's livid. Yeah. And I can hear in her voice that it was about to go bad, but I'm back home. So like, I couldn't even of course I'm calling the dude, he not picking up. And I've been calling him for a while and he wasn't picking up. That's why they went down there. So she gets in an argument with him. And when she gets in an argument with him, at the end of the argument, she said, well, I'm taking my son and all this stuff. He leaving this motherfucker, da-da-da-da-da. That's what he wanted. He already had the paper. Sign right here and say that.
So he didn't want to keep Kiyo down there.
He didn't want to keep him down there. And it was my first, I went to a black college, man. They treated me with love as an athlete the entire time. Coaches, admin, president, everybody. So I'm not even I had never seen that slave auction type mentality.
Like, see you later.
Yeah, he's out of here.
Bad goods.
And that's what it was. That's exactly what it was. He wanted nothing to do with the kid. And it's because Kiyo wasn't like very subservient, yes sir, no sir. He wasn't that kid either when he was there. So he's like, man, next. You know what I'm saying? And it was horrible to the point where the next time I seen that coach, I was at Wilson. I remember like it was yesterday. I was at Wilson and he was there recruiting the twins. Remember the big twins? And I blacked out.
That you did.
And I was calm. I went after him. And I had already told this situation to one of my good guys. He coaches girls side Thrill, Tone,
Yeah.
AJ Wilson father.
Okay, yeah.
He knew the situation. I didn't even know he was there. He stops me, boom, in my chest. I'm like, what's up? And he's like, I see what you about to do. He's like, Slim, just sit down. And he sat me down. He sat me down. I just had to count backwards, you know what I'm saying, and like breathe. I was so hot, man, and I had to leave. Yeah. I couldn't even sit in there. So like, it's wild. I was just telling you, years later, I seen him yesterday. And if I was still in that mode and still angry about what happened with Shorty, like I probably would have said or done something. But he was like, I had floor seats and he was coaching and he was sitting down from me. And I was wondering why he was looking. I'm like, why is this white boy looking at me like that? And I said, oh, he's looked so familiar though. And it's going through my head. I'm like, and then they say his name. I'm like, that's that motherfucker. You know what I mean? And I could have crashed out or whatever they say, but I was just like, you know what?
It wouldn't have been a good look.
Nah, wouldn't have been a good look. It would have been bad. You know what I'm saying? He'd have pressed charges. Like, you know what I mean? So even if I did it back in the day, it would have been crazy. So I'm just like, it hurt because like Kiyo was using these little notches that I listened to you there, it went bad. I listened to you right there, it went bad. Now I'm gonna do it my way. I didn't know that until he told me in those words later on when he was already done and he was in the streets and then this, that, and the third. And it's like he kind of blamed me and that hurt. Yeah, like that fucked with me for a long time. And then I realized that was his way of deflecting his choices that he made and he put them on me. So I called him back, man. I said, you gotta come see me. So he didn't come see me. And we were like, all right, next time you're gonna come see me. And then when he came and saw me, there was so many people around that he came to the gym, Nike boots on, unlaced, windmilling, looking, doing the drills. I played him one-on-one. I had to really fucking play him. Like, and he hadn't played and he had been locked up and came home. He hadn't played in a long time. Still, bro. You know what I mean? And it was so crazy, but I didn't really get to talk to him about the situation. And then he got caught up in his last situation and they sat him down for 5. 5 years, man. 5 freaking years. Man, with DC, you gotta do a certain percent, so he's gonna be home you know, and probably like 3 and some change, but I mean, he's already done some time, so he's gonna be home in probably like a year and some change at this point, but it's like, we still talk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I was telling you, we still talk. I haven't gone out there. I don't really want to see him in that situation. I went and saw him when he was out at, what's the joint, man? PG County, at that jail. I went and saw him, and I just, it bothered me so much. It was almost hard for me to go back and be
I get
a
it.
father and everything that I need to be for my daughter. So it was like, I don't like seeing them kids like that. You know what I mean? That's crazy. And PG, I don't know if you've been over there, but that joint is bananas. So it's really like where they go to come see you as far as visitation. Outside of the door behind them, I'm talking about like 2 people, is the pod, like it's the prison.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, so it's loud and people popping in and it's crazy.
Yeah, you get to see everything.
I didn't want to see that kid like that, man, because that kid was a pro. I mean, when we went down to Miami for the Adidas Nation thing, Sam Mitchell, you know, he was down there doing the thing. And kid, I tell this story, and I tell people all the time, this is when I realized Kiyo was different. Kiyo came down on a Friday. We went down on a Friday. We didn't stay in the same hotel. They had the kids staying together. So I'm doing I tucked them in.
Making sure.
Go to sleep, right? You got a big day. Go to sleep, right?
You stay in the same room with him?
Nah. Sat outside the door for a little bit. Like, came back in an hour. I was still quiet, right? Went and did my thing. Come back, he wakes up in the morning, you know what I'm saying? He is terrorizing everybody. He is killing. He's killing so crazy. People are calling my phone. I didn't get there yet. They're like, oh, Kiyo was in here barbecuing everything. Like everybody. And these dudes are all in the league now. One of them plays for the Spurs.
Yeah.
What's that kid that played for the Spurs, man?
Keldon Johnson.
Barbecuing them, right? He in the league now, right? So I'm like, all right, I'm happy, man. I go there, man, everything, kill. We talk, we go, they send him to go get some eat. I spend a little time with him. I say, you know, I'm gonna give him it's in Miami.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give him a little leeway, let him go do his thing. He got big Dave McCormick there. You know, Dave overseas getting money. So I'm like, I'm gonna let him do his thing with them. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna hang back a little bit. So I go check on him again. He's like, yeah, now we just chilling, da-da-da. We gonna go with the team and get something to eat. And then, you know, we got curfew. He's sounding real like, man. I get a call like 5 in the morning. In Miami, I'm waking up like, what the fuck? They like, yo, Kiyo ain't coming back? I said, what you mean? They like, we did a room check, he not in his room. And like, we banging on his room this morning and he not in his room. I'm like, no way. So I'm calling his phone, it's dead. I'm like, oh. I'm like, all right. I hope this boy not locked up. They called me back in an hour, and I'm on my way down there. They called me back in like maybe 30 minutes. They said, man, Kiyo was walking in the hotel as we were walking out to get on the bus.
Lord have mercy.
I said, what you mean? They said he had on the same clothes from yesterday, walking back in. And he said somebody from Adidas was like, asked him something. And he said, you know, I was doing me, or something like that. Just like an exec. Ah, damn.
Right.
So when I fly over there to the gym, man, I put him to, I said, what the fuck is you doing? The story that he told me, and you gotta know Kiyo don't lie when it comes to this type stuff. The story that he told me was that of a movie when it comes to going to the club, telling this older lady that he was NBA prospect, that's why he down there. He did the whole thing. She took him this place, they did that, they went to this, to that. And this is it turned out to be like somebody prominent. She had like a cooking TV show or something wild. I'm like, what the fuck? So he telling me the whole thing. I see the text messages and I'm like, this boy not lying. And I was like, I couldn't get mad at him because it's like, I don't know what I would have done in that situation, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. He's 17, 18 years old. I have no idea what I would have done. I would have tried my best to focus in, you know what I mean? But like, that's hard.
Right.
Beautiful woman.
Right.
Grown woman, like 20 something type situation.
Right.
So I'm like, damn, I want to get mad at him, so I got to get mad. Man, you messing up your chances. So he said, he said, Pops, don't worry, I got it. I said, what you mean? He said, what? He said, I got it. off no sleep. He said he went to sleep on the beach, knocked out for about an hour. Barbecued everybody, kill it. And I'm just like, damn. So it's like he had a button that everybody didn't have.
Yeah.
I don't have that button. He had a button that's just pure, dominant, physical. I'm gonna be better than you right now. And it was crazy. And Sam Mitchell said, "This your son?" I said, "No, it's not my son, but you know, so I work with the kid, I mentor him." He pulled me to the side. He said, "If you can get him to like fly straight, like send him to a military school." This is when I started thinking, send him to a military school. He's a lottery pick. I'm like, lottery pick? He said, he's a lottery pick. He said, these kids are all Americans. He is tearing them up because Kiyon still had one more year. He had a whole nother year to play. Barbecuing everybody. He was like one of the only juniors that was in there, like, you know what I mean? It was sick. But then after all that, they invited him to the one out LA. I'm for sure, I don't even think that he wouldn't want to go. This boy tells me, I'm tired. I said, what you mean? He said, man, I've been playing all these games, I'm tired. I said, Kiyon, you ain't never said you was tired in your life. What you mean you tired? So I started doing some investigating. What's going on in the hood?
Right.
The same week as that or weekend as that. It gotta be somebody's birthday or some party or something. It was a fucking cookout that this boy wanted to go to and didn't want to miss. That was a hood affiliated cookout. And he didn't want to go to Adidas Nation in LA. I said, yeah, I'm probably gonna lose this kid. That's how I knew. From, you know what I'm saying? That's how I knew, like that was the beginning of it. Like I knew the hood stuff outweighed everything for him.
Yeah.
I just knew. I was just like, I don't think I can like compete with that. And then the Massanutten thing happened right after the next year. It was done, man.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. We always go back and think about things that we could have done differently. You know what I mean? Is there anything that you was like, man, I wish I'd have done this differently? Or you just like, I know you gave it your all. I know that. But is there something that you was like, damn, I wish I could have did something different?
I think I would have gotten him out of the city immediately. You know what I mean? But I don't know if he would have been the player he was if he wasn't with me.
Yeah.
So it was like, that was my fight. Have him in the gym every day with somebody who knows what his full work needs and this, that, and the third. Because I'm like a student. Like I study all my kids. I kind of like study them. I go to their games. I watch their film. They don't even know it. I've been watching their film at night. So it was like, I knew what the kid needed and I knew that I could get him there. But like, it's like, I couldn't leave. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, damn, I don't know what to do. But I also didn't know how bad the other side was. You know what I mean? As far as like him, you know, getting into it, I didn't know that. You couldn't know because you're not with him 24/7.
Yeah, man. That, you know, I'm not a crier, but when I was listening to your story, dog, if I could drop a tear, I really would have. Because that shit hurt just listening to it right here. So I know you being involved, how much that probably eat at you from time to time.
Time to time. I mean, Kiyon put so much strain on my life that people didn't see in regards to like my relationship with my girlfriend early on. It was tough because I couldn't leave DC or I had to bring her with me. And she's not from here, she's from Boston. So it was like, it was I can't even, you know what I'm saying? So that was an issue. And then my daughter, like seeing other like kids like treat me like a pops, and she was young. So I had to, you know, and it's a dude, and I had to have my daughter around. It was like, you know, all these things that I was going through that people didn't see. You know what I'm saying? People just see, oh, he trying to get some money off Kiyon. And but until Sam Mitchell said what he said, I didn't see Kiyon as a pro. Because he was playing DCIA.
Just trying to help him out.
Yeah, he was playing DCIA. So like, I felt as though like the competition level wasn't super high. So it was like, but then when I started seeing him play in the summertime, AAU, I was like, oh shit. Oh. Because Loaded plays a loaded schedule. So I'm like, damn, this kid is good, but I still wasn't thinking pro. So like for people to say like, oh, he was latching on to him for that, or like I had somebody, a prominent basketball player in this area, question me like on a pod, what are these podcasts or something years ago about, I wonder if he's still with the kid now that he locked up and blah, blah, blah. And I heard all these things and I was just like, these people have no idea. I got a group of dudes who coach at Fairfax Christian, assistant coach Chris and Mike. They're in the gym with me every night. They would, Reggie, all these cats from Friendly, Lamont. That's my youngster crew that I started training with first.
Yeah.
They all came back and was in the gym, so they all know the story. So they ready to fight. Like, man, they say this about you. They don't know what you're going through. So it was that kind of battle, but I still never said anything. I said something to that person because he said my full name.
Yeah.
And asked me why I took it personal. So I had to address that. But other than that, I let that even die off. And I've never really spoke on the Washington Post has been contacting me about this situation for a long time. And I just didn't feel like that was a platform. Plus I didn't ask the kid, you want me to speak on your situation? I asked him, years later, he was like, yeah, I'm cool. You say what you have to say. But I always wanted to do it the right way. People were saying I took money for the kid. And I'm thinking about how much money I spent on the kid. That's crazy.
Right.
They're saying, well, he took money from Loaded, for the kid. Loaded don't pay. They didn't Loaded. Ty White, that's my man. He made sure the kid was good, made sure the kid had Adidas on, made sure the kid had a couple sweatsuits, but he didn't pay me nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He told me what he could provide for the kid, and that shit was away from DC. Right. That's all he had to say. He said, I can make sure he play in front of college coaches. We're gonna train him up, he's gonna learn basketball, and he's gonna be down in Richmond from Friday to Sunday. I said, sold. You had to tell me nothing else. Yeah. But I heard so many things for so long from people that wasn't sitting in that court when that judge was saying what they were saying, you know what I'm saying? I haven't been around him. To this day, we still are in contact, I'm in contact with all my youngsters who are in prison. It's the same thing.
Yeah, man. That I always say, man, no good deed go unpunished, right? And then that a lot of people don't understand that AAU stuff. It ain't a lot of money involved like people think it is. Not like how it is now. We gonna jump into that next. But it's some short shit.
It's really short. It is some definite
It's short, man. Yeah. And the things that people used to risk they career for, 5 bands, 10, that. Nah. To a grown man taking care of a family, what that really gonna do?
And I tell them today, I got other kids now who people are hunting down and really want to get at.
But let me ask you this, man. What do you think about the transfer portal and NIL? What are your thoughts on that if you was navigating a kid through that?
Well, I've navigated a couple kids through the situation. It's bananas, and I tell people all the time, it's like a gift and a curse. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. All of this stuff that's happening right now because some people navigate it and they get money and it turns out they do well, and some people sit in that portal and
never come out,
and then end up having to drop down to a lower level, and then the money that you chased is definitely not at that lower level. So it is absolutely tough, man. But I'm trying to tell my kids to stick with, the program, stick with some of these schools because that transfer portal it's 9,000 kids, I think they say is in that portal right now. Yeah. And it's definitely not 9,000 spots. So it's if you're upper echelon, it's fine. You're gonna be in there for a second, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna go on 2-3 visits, you're right back at it. But if you struggle, not even struggle, but if you just squeaked in getting that D1 scholarship and you go in that portal, it's bad.
You probably not gonna come out.
You're not gonna come out. It's some top level kids who just went in the portal that I trained that they had no problem, like Earl Timberlake. He's a goon, he's a dog, he's gonna be fine, you know what I'm saying? And even Aaliyah, she navigated it. Aaliyah went to 3 different schools, she navigated it well. But Leah too navigated it. Daniel, I say Daniel, with me, I thought Daniel should have stayed at Oakland. Mm-hmm. But then Daniel also wanted to play big. Mm-hmm. So it was good for him because he went to Pitt and he played big, but then this Pitt situation wasn't what he thought it was. So I told my kids, and I want my kids who have gone through it to do like I used to train Chris Likes too. Chris Likes has a platform where he's talking about the ins and outs of it, and he's like, I want those stories to get out so these kids and their parents can hear like the bad stuff that can happen, even because he's an upper echelon kid. But like, it's crazy. It's really crazy. But I tell the kids to, you know, be skilled up is what I call it. Like, have all your skills, your bag, your fundamentals, have all those things. Be able to shoot the ball, all those things that can transfer to any level. You know what I'm saying? Have those things. But if they say, oh, he don't play defense or she don't play defense, you're in trouble. If they say, oh, she can't shoot, he can't shoot, you're in trouble. If that's what you were supposed to be doing on one level and you didn't do it well, man, it can get crazy. But I mean, get your money. Get your money, because everybody's not going pro. If you getting, you know, a couple $100,000, stack your money, put your money up, you know what I'm saying? So you have something. Imagine having that diving board coming out of college. I'd have been straight. But you know, people don't, you know, they get that money. They try and buy a Lamborghini truck. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. So I mean, we're not really speaking on financial literacy in high school. That's not happening. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if your parents don't have it, they're not teaching it to you. So you get that money, it's gone. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's tough for a lot of these kids, man. And I got a 7-footer right now that everybody and their mama want, calling my phone crazy. And I know I'm going to have to navigate this situation and help him, but he has a good person with him that's going to, like, you know, help him through that part of it. But like, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy.
So let me ask you last question. I know you got to run. Last question we always ask is about handling success, right? Everybody, you clearly have been through this, right? Where a kid has climbed a mountain ladder and now they're sitting at the top. But handling success is a different animal. You know what I mean? Talk about what advice you would give to people to navigate handling success.
So with my youngsters, I always tell them to like look at who they surround themselves with and who they're, you know, I guess hanging with. And I tell the kids like, it's easy to be successful if everybody that's around you is moving the same manner. I'm talking about family and everything. It's easy. It was easy for me. I knew my father went to college, my mom went to college. I grew up knowing I was going to college. It wasn't even a second thought, because
that was your norm.
It was the norm for me. So if you don't, like, if you come from a situation where you don't have that going forward, you have to really, really vet every situation. Like, all right, I can't hang with those folks, or this person who says they have my best interest, you know what I'm saying, in mind. I got to really research what they're talking about. Some kids just go off the word, and then, you know, their success dwindles because they let people, you know, leech off of them financially or just your time or anything. So it's like time management, social, you know, management, and even not so much the money, man. It's not really about the money management, because it's like you can be the greatest money manager, but if you got somebody that's gonna say, man, I got my pistol on me, when y'all just got pulled over, none of that even matters. Like, you know what I'm saying? Some of the other stuff is really important. And I always point to this one kid that I had, Joe Hayden. That's who I was with yesterday at the Jordan game. Front row at the Jordan game. Why? Because he's a Jordan athlete, retired, you know what I'm saying? And his father instilled in him early all these things. So Joe, you know, he had some near situations. He is not perfect, but he's been able to navigate success well because he thinks before he moves. He thinks before he speaks, you know what I'm saying? And he makes sure that if somebody is speaking on his behalf or it's the right situation, I mean, he did it the right way.
And look where
I try to put all my kids, even Kiyon, I put him around him for, like, you know, he was around, Kiyon was going into in Joe's father's gym, lifting weights and all that stuff. I made sure that Joe, and that's it, like, I had to put him around somebody who did what I said he could do.
His extension of you.
So he can feel it and see it. Like, we go see Joe's house and it's like, damn.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't work for every kid, but some kids, they see the success, you know what I'm saying? And they push for it. Like, I think my guy, Devontae Gordon, is going to do well. He came over to the gym to speak with me the other day, man, and he's just so positive, and everything is like, I'm about to do this, I got this going. He came into the gym by himself, no entourage and all that good stuff, you know what I mean? And he's a kid that's gonna get drafted, you know, NFL. So, you know, Leah too is the same way. She's real like business savvy as far as her brand, who she is. And you know, she got drafted and is gonna do well. So it's like, you have to really make choices, and you got to realize that every second of the day is one of those choices. From what you eat to, I'm not gonna go that way, I'm gonna go this way. Like, it's really that simple, you know what I'm saying? It's about the choices, and then continue to make, and it's hard for these kids to continue to make the right choice all the time. But I mean, if they get into the habit of it early, it's easier later on. Like,
Facts. You
know what I'm saying? You see that in yourself. Like, you see me out, I'm by myself. Why? Because I went out a couple times as a youngster and came home like, what the fuck was that? Like, you know what I'm saying? I can't move like that anymore. You know what I mean? I made it, I survived it. I'm not gonna try it again.
What's the lesson? Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, man, I definitely thank you for coming on the show, being vulnerable.
Yeah, man.
What's going on.
It felt good to get some of that stuff off my chest, man.
You know, I definitely look forward to finding more opportunities for us to connect.
Yeah.
You know, I love your mission. You know, like I say, like, I felt that story just because it wasn't exactly the same, but I know what you dealt with, you know, as somebody who put your heart and soul into something. And
I appreciate you for that. Every time I find or come across somebody who's done that, man, I want to say I appreciate you for your attempt. Like, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people are not even doing that, man. Yeah.
So, man, that's it on our end, man. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, and share. And as always, man, stay game related.